Both the KZ ZS10 Pro and ZS10 Pro 2 are incredible in-ear monitors in terms of sound and comfort. Here are some of the main changes. First, the ZS10 Pro 2 has 4 tuning switches that can be used to adjust the sound. Next, the ZS10 Pro comes with all silicone ear tips. The ZS10 Pro 2 also comes with silicone tips, but it includes one foam tip as well. This greatly affects comfort. Next, the nozzle lip on the ZS10 Pro 2 has more protrusion, which makes replacing ear tips more difficult. In terms of the audio quality, using the ZS10 Pro stock and the ZS10 Pro 2 with all EQ switches down, the ZS10 Pro has significantly more bass as expected. It's not overly strong, but it can produce some thump when the audio mix calls for it. The mid-range is very natural on both, which makes vocals sound realistic. To my ears, the treble is far more pronounced than KZ's graphs suggest. I would describe both as having similarly prominent treble, but not too piercing. When gaming, I found both to have impressive sound separation, and it was even better on the ZS10 Pro 2. Both have a narrow soundstage, but it did not limit my ability to isolate individual sound cues at all. The most interesting part about the ZS10 Pro 2 is the physical tuning switches. The first 3 give varying amounts of boost to the bass. You turn all 3 of them up, you can get the greatest increase to it. And then the 4th one is supposed to decrease the treble, but it didn't actually do that for me. So take that for what it is. Honestly, the changes are pretty subtle, and even with all the switches up, the ZS10 Pro 2 isn't suddenly going to have thunderous bass. It will just sound closer to the original ZS10 Pro in the low end. Overall, I love the sound of both IEMs. I prefer the ZS10 Pro for most use cases because of the fuller bass and sub bass. However, for competitive FPS games like Call of Duty, I love the incredible detail achieved with the ZS10 Pro 2. Now, something very important about the impedance of these. The ZS10 Pro has an impedance of 30 ohms and the ZS10 Pro 2 has an impedance of 25 to 28 ohms. Now, those numbers don't seem like that much of an outlier, but in practice, both IEMs are incredibly sensitive. The level of electronic feedback you hear in these will greatly vary depending on what you plug them into. So for a few examples, in my motherboard, it was silent. My Mixamp Pro TR is silent at 35% gain or lower, and the noise floor ramps up quickly. In the PS5 and Xbox Series controller, a lot of feedback. Most of the gaming headset DACs I have, a lot of feedback, except like the HyperX Cloud 3 stack. That one's actually silent. I like that. And the Elgato Wave XLR, even on low impedance mode, high feedback. So this is not an extensive list, but my takeaway here is I don't really recommend either of these for console players who will be plugging their IEMs directly into a controller. Both IEMs have clear plastic on the inside and metal on the outside. They're using pretty much the same wire, which is 45 inches long before the ear loops. I've yet to find an IEM wire that perfectly loops around my ears, but after some time, both of these did at least mold them a little bit. The silicone ear tips feel identical and they're snug when they're actually on. The ZS10 Pro comes with 4 pairs of silicone tips. 3 of them have ridges. The ZS10 Pro 2 comes with 3 silicone tips and 1 foam tip. Now, the foam ear tips are an amazing idea. I don't like them. A lot of other people do. For me, they're sticky and they can be hard expanding as they mold to the shape of an ear canal, and they just tend to get stuck inside the ear. The nozzle lip on the ZS10 Pro is smooth with minimal protrusion. The ZS10 Pro 2 nozzle lip is much wider. This makes replacing the ear tips a massive pain. The KZ Saga is also like this. Be careful not to damage the grill when you're trying to switch tips. Lastly, the grill protecting the inside of the IEM is solid on the ZS10 Pro and more of a mesh on the ZS10 Pro 2, which makes the latter more susceptible to damage. I actually did damage my KZ Saga like this, which is why I don't like this kind of like soft material that they have in here. Overall, there's not a wrong choice here. Both the KZ ZS10 Pro and ZS10 Pro 2 are excellent. I still prefer the ZS10 Pro because of its slightly fuller base and thinner nozzle lip. However, if you want to hear the maximum amount of detail possible, moving up to the ZS10 Pro 2 is a great option.